Well, I just thought I could give a rundown. I really, it's a tough position, tough league. Not happy about being 0-3 in the last 3 games. Um, but honestly, there's so many good things and positives from this past weekend playing Stanford as well as we did. We really guarded them well, had our opportunities, but also we leave a lot of out there and leave a lot of points out there. So we've got to find the answers for there. Um, and then just loved our effort against Cal. It's a really improved Cal team. We were right there. We had every chance to win the game in regulation and in overtime. Really feel good about where we are, even though we're 0-3. So I think this next 2 weeks is probably as important of a 2-week period as we've had in a long time. So we've really got to show up this weekend against our rival UW.
I guess kind of first question for you, Coach. You talked about the Cal game a little bit, and obviously you guys are well past the point of where you take moral victories or anything like that. But is there a lot of positives you can take where, you look at that one, maybe if Charlize isn't playing just 29 minutes because of the injury, maybe that result goes a different way?
Yeah. I mean, obviously losing AT really puts a dent in our ball handling rotation, and especially if you don't have a sub for point guard. So, right now without AT, we've got to have Charlize on the floor at all times or LA. So I've got to manage that well. So obviously an injury to Charlize put a lot of pressure on LA to perform at a really high level, and good for her. She was awesome in so many ways, and we managed that first half. I wouldn't say we were perfect, but we managed that first half without Charlize. And just there were just some things about it that, I mean, everybody talks about officials, and we've had some discussion with the head of officiating, and it's just there was some things there that just but for a point or two, and there were a lot of points out there that had made a difference, and can't cry about that. That's the thing. We get them sometimes, we don't get them sometimes. But I liked our fight. I liked our competitiveness. I liked our response to things that happened during the game. Unlike what happened really at Auburn, I didn't think we had that in Auburn, and I was worried about that. And so, a little short on the bench and not quite as healthy as we'd like to be. I don't think B's shooting the ball as well as she was at the beginning, but she's getting great looks. There's some things and pieces out there, I think, point production wise, that we can put more points on the board if we just get in a little bit better rhythm, and just got to have a little bit more help from everybody. Bella's got to produce a little bit more in the paint. We've got to produce a little bit more. We've got to find ways to get B there. But again, I think our kids are getting more confident and more sure of what to do and how to get themselves in better advantages for them to make shots. So that's what I'm most excited about. And again, I think the Cal game did that for us, even without Charlize on the floor. There's a lot to like about our team. Everybody's just got to give up a little bit more and give a little bit more to give us a chance to win some games.
Well, you mentioned AT. Do you have kind of an update on her status for this week and going forward?
Yeah, she's out this week. She sees the doctor again. It's looking really good. Just a bone issue. Just takes a little bit of time to get well. I expect her probably more the end of the month, just to be on the sure side. But and again, it's hard. You don't practice. It's hard to throw you back into the game. So we really obviously need her to get some good quality practices before she plays. So, but we're just going to have to wing it right now. And again, I like the bench. I think Kira's going to continue to give us good minutes. Got to keep using her. And Jenna's been, really, really solid. So, our guards just a little bit, not quite as deep, but I think in the long run, it's probably going to help us season those guys a little bit more.
When we talk about Charlize a little bit, I mean, I think probably fair to say, and she's probably the first one to say, it was not her best December. I mean, she didn't hit a 3, which is kind of just, just not, you never see that from her. And then she comes out in these first 2 games in January, and it looks like kind of the Charlize Ledger Walker of old, the one that kind of has, become one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player in program history. What have you maybe seen kind of different from her in these first 2 games? Has something changed in her approach or even the look she's getting, or is it just those shots that she was taking are just starting to go in?
Yeah. I mean, we're looking at the UW game, and I know everybody remembers 2 points in the first quarter, but my gosh, the first, 3 minutes we had point blank layups and missed them. So she's just, I just think sometimes the rhythm is wrong. It's again, she practices well. She shoots the ball well. Her extra shooting that she does every week, she's making, 84 to 87 threes out of 100. Better than she's ever done. Her numbers are honestly better than she's ever had since even last year. She's better than that. And I just think it's still are you set? Are you fundamental? Are you disciplined in exactly what you want in the game? Is your concentration, is your focus right? Are we getting the ball at the right time? There's just some kinks I think that we still needed to work out, but I just think she's such a competitor. And I think when we got into league and took the road and playing Stanford, I mean, she just took that challenge and in the heat of the moment, she just stepped up and made huge and big shots for us, and continues to do everything on the defensive end as well. But again, I keep telling people when they ask, she's not someone I worry about. I mean, we need her. We'd love her to have 20, just like I'd love Bella to have 15. I think those two are capable of giving us that every night. But I'm more concerned about the people around those two players, that we get more production out of them. And then we don't have to count on them every single night to carry us. But clearly, those two players, if they get a bunch of shots, they've got to, get close to 20 points every night. So, but I love the fact that Jenna's coming in and making shots. I think Kira can do that. Tara's coming around. LA's capable. I mean, we've got some weapons around those two. So we've just got to make sure that they're producing.
All right. So coach, based on, obviously there were a lot of bizarre things about the UW game last December, but what did you learn from them, and what are you expecting this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I continue to say it. Tina's done a great job. They're much improved. They play very cohesive, and they hadn't run their Princeton stuff too much first time we played them, and then they broke it out and ran it against us. But for the most part, I think they scored 66 points. And that's with some fouling at the end of the game. If you hold an opponent to about 60 or 62 points, you should win. We need to guard them. They've definitely got some weapons. Their guard game destroyed our guard game. Their guard game was just flat out better, more hungry, scored the ball, took tough shots, made them. And they certainly carried that team. So it's a challenge for our guards to do better, to guard them better, and certainly step up on the offensive end and score better. So that's the challenge for our guards. But they're hard to guard, and they run their stuff really well. And they've got better shooters this year, it feels like, around, Lele in the post. So again, hard to guard, but at the same time, we've got to find ways to put more points on the board than 60 or something that we scored this last time.
And how would you characterize LA's stepping up in AT's absence? What has she really done well, and maybe what does she need to improve on?
Well, I mean, I don't want her to lose her offensive, kind of swag, I think, that she had. And maybe, I think, it changes sometimes. She doesn't feel the burden when AT's on the floor, and certainly when Charlize is on the floor. She can almost be the third ball handler, and she can pick and choose when she's entering offense. And she didn't feel near the need to call a play and have all the thoughts in her head before a play, because she could count on AT doing it or Charlize. So now, without one of those players, I just think her comfort level goes down a little bit. She has to do a little bit more, and people just don't realize she's still not unbelievably great with English. And it's certainly not the first thing that comes off of her lips, when she's thinking a play. So she usually has one or two go-to plays that she calls, because she remembers those, and we've told her that. But it's just a little more pressure on her, I think, probably to run our stuff and to get us into stuff, and that's a little bit more on her. But I want her. I love it when Charlize and LA are in the game together, because they can alternate who's on the ball. and off the ball. And I think both of them need to be in both of those positions because they're such good scorers and so good at attacking the rim and reading defense. And so I like that balance, but we need LA to continue to grow and being a point guard and to take that responsibility without losing her, aggressiveness of finding and kind of hunting her own shot. Because again, I think her scoring's gone down a little bit, and we need her scoring. We need her to get, she needs to be in double digits for us in scoring. She's more than capable of doing that.
How did you see Charlize, maybe some of the other vets, help LA this weekend and over the season adjust to this new role?
Yeah, well, I said it at my radio show last night. There was one point in the game when I think LA had a turnover, and I yelled at everybody else on the floor. It was in the second quarter, I think, and Charlize wasn't there, and I was just like, I just wish you had to be LA right now. Like, she has to bring it up, she has to go against that pressure, she has to do everything, and you guys aren't helping. And I think it's yes, LA has to be assertive, and she has to be loud, and she has to make sure we're in stuff, and then she has to enter us with great energy and conviction. When she's a little bit indecisive, we generally run indecisive offense. I think that's the message we say to her all the time. She's got to have that attack mode and leaning forward mode and getting us into stuff. And so, and when you're not completely confident, you tend to want to be careful and you slow down. And she's really good when she's not, playing like a robot. When she can just attack, when she sees an opening, she's really good. And we've got to let her still do that. And we've got to put her in position to do that. But it's still a lot on her, and it requires, yes, Charlize to help and will and does. Again, I'm never worried about Charlize communicating and helping her teammates. It's the other people around Charlize that have, got to step up and do more and help more. And that will alleviate some of the pressure on LA.
Awesome. And then you talked about kind of the fight and competitiveness this weekend that maybe wasn't seen in previous games. Is that what else, in I guess in addition to that, helps you believe that your team can turn things around after a similar start to last year in the Pac-12 play?
Well, again, I don't know. I think the league is better top to bottom than it was a year ago. So I don't think there's any easy game on our schedule. I think everything and teams make you earn a victory, and we haven't done that yet. We played a great second half against UW, but there's no guarantee that we're going to walk in there and play a high quality game. We have to walk in there with a mindset and be aggressive and know a scout and take the challenge to guard them individually and to take away some of the things that they want to do. And it doesn't matter who we play. That needs to be our mindset every time. What I've liked about our team a little bit more consistently is our energy, our consistency in practice. We seem to have a little bit more, I don't know, snap. And not that we didn't have it before, it's just more consistent, and it's better communication. And it's, I told our team after that game, it's just like, we kind of have a heartbeat, we're all kind of going at the same time. And I think was a little bit inconsistent. It wasn't quite what it had been in the past. And we were searching for that a little bit in the preseason. And in our losses, we really lost that. We seemed very, isolated and on islands. So I think just part of growing as this new team, not last year's team, but this new team, is getting that chemistry right, getting that leadership right, and getting young players to step into some really big time roles and have confidence and make plays. And I think, again, that's a big step for our players, and we've just got to continue to do that and give them confidence to do that for us, because we've got to have I think we have 10 players that can play right now, and we've got to have all of them. I think that gives us our best chance to have long-term success, is to get really much more depth and much more quality across the board than just depending on one or two players.